So I have posted a quiz review for you guys. It's on the Big Ideas website. It is optional. If you go to click on it now, it's going to say overdue, but you can still go in and you can still do it. If anybody's having issues doing that, just send me an email. But it's there. It's optional. But honestly, and I noticed that, maybe not so much in this class, but in some of my other classes, some people come in and I can sort of tell that they're not doing the warm-ups. Maybe because I don't collect them. But what I always like to do is try to base my test and quiz questions, at least some of them, from the warm-ups. And then when people start doing poorly on a test or a quiz, and then when I have a conference with your mom or your dad, I always invite the student to come to the conference with the parents. And then I ask them, open up your warm-ups. Show mom and dad all your work for your warm-ups. Most of the time, the people that are doing poorly can't show mom and dad their warm-ups because they haven't been doing them. And I point out to mom and dad, that's a key resource that you're losing out on because you're choosing to play your game or do something else when we're doing the warm-up. So always do it, even if I'm not collecting it. When you're studying for tests and quizzes, use the warm-ups, use the notes, use your homework. In addition to the reviews, because remember, my reviews do not look exactly like the test. You've got to use your critical knowledge, compile your own study guides. So this is why when I go through my review for your quiz tomorrow, I'm going to tie it into the warm-ups that we've done so far. Pretty good? So this was the 3-1 warm-up that we did. So from 3-1, the main thing that we did here was we were naming the angles. We were first learning how to identify the angles. So before I get going through here, there's 10 questions tomorrow on the quiz. There will not be a proof tomorrow. Again, it's going to be naming the angles. Now, instead of questions like this where I say name all the corresponding, name all the alternate interior, what I'm going to do is give you a picture similar to this, and I'm going to say, what are angles 1 and angle 8 in this picture? And then you're going to have to tell me the name. So you're going to need to know ahead of time that you have, it could be an alternate exterior, alternate interior, corresponding, or consecutive interior. So already have all those names in your brain because you're not going to get like a word bank. Okay, so 1 and 8. Anybody know what those are called? Alternate exterior. Very nice. Okay, what about angles if I said, what are name angle 2 and 3? Consecutive interior. Now, we're going to actually play a GIM kit, and in the GIM kit, it uses the word same side interior. But on your test tomorrow, they're going to call these consecutive interior on the quiz tomorrow. What about angles 5 and 7? Beautiful. Okay. And then what if I said 2 and 7? Alternate interior. Good. So be able to do questions like that. You're going to have to name the angles, and it'll be a simple one. It's not going to be complex like we did in the homework. You will not have any word problems. Also in 3-1, and I've just added a picture from the notes. This was actually example 2 from the notes from 3-1. This is where we learned what parallel lines are, what skew lines are, what perpendicular, and what if it's asking for a plane that's parallel to another plane. So just like example 2A here, if I said name a line parallel to CD and containing point A, so here's CD, what would be a line parallel to CD that contains point A? AB, good. Okay, now there's other parallel lines in here, but they do not include point A. Everybody good there? And then a skew line containing point A would be the line going up and down here, and it would be AH. So we did this in the notes, so be able to identify lines or planes in the picture. Everybody good there? Then in 3-2, this is where we took those lines, we now made them parallel, and now all our special angle pairs are now going to be congruent. So in this type of question, it'll probably be more like number 3, where I'm going to tell you the measure of angle 2, it's 115. But what if instead of asking you for angle 7, I ask you to find the measure of angle 8? But let's find 7 first. How much is angle 7 going to be in this picture? 115. What kind of angles are 2 and 7? Beautiful. And we learned in 3-2 that alternate exterior angles are congruent. But what if I changed it up and instead asked you for 8? They don't have a special relationship. Anybody know how we could find angle 8? Amira?
180 minus 115.
Beautiful, because this is a linear pair here. So we would do 180 minus 115, and we would get 65. So be careful what I'm asking for. Okay, I may be asking for the angle that's supplement to it. It may not be one of the special angle pairs. Does that make sense? All right, so that was 3-2. Again, you will not have something as complicated as 4. You will have expressions, but it would only be maybe 3 lines. The 2 parallel and the transversal. I'm not going to give you a 4th line in there, okay? So it won't be as complicated as this one that we did. So like, for example, on this one, when I did it, I got rid of that extra transversal there to find the value of x first. And these were the parallels. And then I used this transversal first, making 6x and then the 30 plus the 2x plus 10 consecutive interior. And then remember, we just did 2x plus 10 plus 30 plus the 6x, and we set that equal to 180. And then when we wanted to find the y, we ended up using the other transversal. So be able to find values of x when I give you an expression. Some of the questions are just going to be a number like we just did on number 3, but then other questions, they're going to ask you to find the value of x. So for this one, if I finish it up, I added the like terms. I subtracted the 40 from the 180. And I got 8x equals 140. I divided that by 8. 140 divided by 8 goes in here once. 6, 7. Put a decimal point. Bring down another 0. 17.5. So x equals 17.5. And then to find y, if you remember from the other day, instead, now for y, what I did was I'm going to use this other transversal. Here's the parallel. Here's the transversal I'm using now. And now these 2 angles are alternate interior, which I know are congruent. So it'll be 2x plus 10 equals y plus 10. And you may say, wait a minute, you got 2 different variables. How can you do that? Well, we just found the value of x, and that's what I'm going to plug in. So 17.5 plus 10 plus y, I get 35 plus 10, y plus 10, 45 equals y plus 10, move the 10, and y equals 35. So again, I'll only give you 2 parallels and a transversal. It's not going to be real complicated. No word problems tomorrow, but potentially on the test you will. Okay, so this is the 3-3 warm-up. It says find the value of x that makes P parallel to Q. So in my figure, what I've noticed is I have a pair of alternate interior angles. So I know that this angle that's here is congruent to this angle that's here. So to find the value of x, to make those lines parallel, I need to set them equal to each other. So I could do 3x is equal to 2x plus 43. It doesn't matter the order you put them. subtract 2, and x equals 43. So 43 would be the value of x that would make P parallel to Q because those alternate interior angles are congruent. This is what you're going to have to do tomorrow on the quiz. I've decided that I'm not going to give you a proof tomorrow. It's only going to be basically identifying the angle pairs and solving for x. So we're going to go back through each section by section and I'll show you what to focus on. But from section 3, this is what you need to know. Be able to find the value of x that would make those lines parallel. Then the next one, it says, can you prove that A is parallel to B? If so, what theorem would you use? Now, again, if this confuses you, get rid of this line. And the only thing that you're focusing on is trying to see if A is parallel to B. And I'm going to use this transversal that's going through right here, making these two congruent alternate interior angles. So yes, you could say that A is parallel to B. And my reason would be by using the alternate interior angles. And what's very important here is you're using the converse. And if you want to add the word theorem to the end, you can. But the main thing you need to have in here is that it's the alternate interior angles converse. The alternate interior angles theorem proves that these angles are congruent. But the converse states that if those two alternate interior angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So it's saying the same thing, but it reverses the order. Pretty good there? All right, let's try the next one. And then here's the 3-3. I would definitely focus on questions like number 1. And again, which lines are parallel here? They want to know, is it EF parallel? So is it this one? Maybe I'll do it in highlight. Is it EF parallel to DG? Or is it the ED parallel to the FG? Now, at first glance, you're thinking, well, I don't even see any kind of congruent angles here. But if I start adding up these angle pairs, I'm going to find a pair of supplementary angles. And then I can use the consecutive interior angles converse to show that I've got parallel lines. So if I add 95 and 85, these two, if I add those two up, let's see what I get. So 95 plus 85 gives me 180. So what I could do here is the angle that it's formed is here, the 95, and then here's the 85, and let me do it in a different color. So, and then the 85. Remember the line where you see both colors, that's going to be your transversal. So my transversal is right here. And then the parallel is where the single color is. So the parallel lines would be EF is parallel to DG. I could have also done the other pair over here, the 100 and the 80. As soon as I add those as well, I get 180. So again, if you want to do the same thing and show that this angle is formed here, and then the green one here, and again, where the overlap, where you see both red and green together mixed, that's your transversal. So you had two different transversals here, and it didn't matter. And if they ask you to justify or say why, what we used was the consecutive interior angles, and again, converse. All of the converses prove that the lines are parallel. And then the last one, you will not have any word problems tomorrow. They're just mostly going to be naming the angle pairs and again, solving for x. But here it says in the figure, HJ, so this line right here, is parallel to KL, this one. And then KL is also parallel to MN. So we can see that the KLs are going to cancel, and this is your transitive property of parallel lines. And by using this transitive property, I can state that the red one, HJ, is parallel to MN because those KLs cancel out, and then you go from the beginning being parallel to the end. So be able to apply the theorems. Understand that all of the converses are what we're going to use to prove lines parallel. When you were doing the homework tonight, some of my earlier classes had asked me, they said, why when I had a picture of vertical angles, you know, they were congruent, why didn't that prove lines parallel? Well, if you recall from your notes, the only ways to prove lines parallel we've learned so far is by finding a pair of congruent alternate interior angles that are congruent, alternate exterior that are congruent, corresponding that are congruent, or consecutive interior angles that are supplements, or by using this transitive property. These are the only ways that we can use to prove lines parallel. Everybody good? Anybody need me to go back to anything on this 3-3? Now we're going to talk about specifics of the quiz. So 10 questions tomorrow. Again, naming the different lines that are either parallel, skew, perpendicular, or the planes that are parallel. Solving for X, and identifying the special names for the special angle pairs. So 10 questions tomorrow, no proof. Any questions on the review? All right, so I also posted in the module a Quizlet for 3-1, 3-2, and 3-3. There's also the quiz review that's on the Big Ideas website. Again, it's optional. Use all the resources I'm giving you, notes, warm-ups, homework, the reviews, all of that. Use that to get you ready for tomorrow's quiz.